You see the key to a door that does not exist.
I'm sure you've seen these before, and if you haven't, now you have. The towers that sit in the ocean near Night City. We don't explicitly know why they are there. We have a trail of clues and theories, but nothing concrete. One theory points to the idea that they are protecting Night City from something out in those waters. I aim to figure out what that is. We got this contract from Mr. House, a man who wants to understand any possible threat to humanity and, more importantly, to himself. I'm not sure even he could be prepared for this. I've brought in some plumbers from NV Ranger & Co. to drain the waters around Night City so we can literally get to the bottom of things. Let me tell you something you already knew. Night City's waterways are putrid filth, littered with absurd quantities of human waste. We didn't need to drain the ocean to figure that out, though. What's so haunting about this is you won't find any fish, no creepy, slithering sea creatures, nothing but seaweed and trash. These waters have been so polluted that almost all of the life below has been killed off or fled elsewhere. Down in the piles of refuse, we can actually find boxes with NCPD labeled on them. Perhaps these are evidence boxes getting tossed out where no one would dare go looking. Oh, looks like we found something. What's that over there? Could it be some sort of underwater lab containing clues? They're windows, and something is moving below. What's going on here? Nothing related to our case. On the other side of those windows is a tunnel connecting downtown to Pacifica, and that's about as close as you'll get to taking a vehicle into the water. Truth is, there are more sunken cars in here than boats, functional or otherwise. We have some boats at the docks here near downtown, but they never leave this spot despite looking to be in great condition. Then there are 2 sunken speedboats, one near Pacifica and one near Compeki Plaza. There are a couple of derelict shipping vessels near the Ebenike docks in Watson, and finally, a massive ship capsized near the oil fields. But isn't that something? A place as busy as Night City, where everyone is filling out every corner available, some even want to flee into cyberspace, yet we have an entire ocean out here, waterways running through the city, and still, no one is out here on their boats. Why? Is it because they're smelly and toxic? So is Night City, but there's still plenty of people there. The Badlands are about as inhospitable as it gets, but nomads find life. There's ample room out here to get away from NCPD, have shady dealings, or just get some peace and quiet. There's something far worse going on, and no one wants to talk about it. First, we need to look at evidence provided to us by local sources. Piece of evidence number 1, Sayonara Station by Luke Steelman. Here we go. Wait a second. Before we start, have you ever wondered how this book ended up in your hands? Where it came from, who delivered it? Of course you haven't. Nobody ever wonders about things like that. It's a shame because the answer is quite interesting. I'd go as far as to say it's fucking fascinating. Not so long ago, most shipments were made via sea on freighters, cheap, quick, and relatively safe. But during the Fourth Corporate War, some genius in Arasaka had an idea to release automated, self-replicating mines controlled by an AI into the ocean. What could possibly go wrong? A lot, it turns out. The AI had a single objective: destroy enemy vessels. Simple, right? Nusa and Militech ships would get blown out of the water, while the Arasaka and Free State ships would sail by untouched. Except for the AI's ironclad logic, since there was a non-zero probability that a vessel waving a friendly flag might also have enemies on board, in the interest of optimization, it would also be sunk. Of course, when the leadheads back at Arasaka HQ realized what they'd done, they rushed to update the software, only for the AI to reject it as a virus. And thus, because of a handful of individuals' complete lack of imagination and foresight, the history of maritime travel came to an end. So let's come back to the question: how did you end up with this book? Unless you live in Chicago where it was published, then surely not via the net, since that was destroyed by Bartmoss. Maybe it was shipped by plane, but air freight is incredibly expensive, so most likely not. By car then? We can't roll it out, but if I had to bet on it, I'd say it came to your city via train. Imagine that trains, that's right, the ones that go choo-choo, have survived into the present day. Just last year, 15,526 miles of new train tracks were put into use, including the underground tunnel connecting Tokyo with Shanghai. 2 days later, I was in Tokyo, standing on the platform of Sayonara Station. Goodness. So, according to Mr. Steelman, Arasaka released self-replicating sea mines into the ocean that have gone rogue, attack every single vessel they come into contact with, and have ended travel or transport by boat. Sayonara Station is the name of the book. Sayonara means goodbye in Japanese. Goodbye to the ocean, perhaps. Seems simple, right? There's the answer. Case closed. Except, look at the cover of this book. I don't know about you, but it looks an awful lot like a novel to me. The artwork displays a train, not underwater mines or maritime travel. Its title alludes to a train station, not the far more frightening and relevant self-replicating rogue AI taking over the ocean. It doesn't read like a journal article meant to convey information. It reads like a piece of fiction. Even consider how it starts out, with Mr. Steelman pondering about how the book ended up in your hands in a clever and dramatic way. Not to mention, this is a small excerpt from a larger book, so we don't get the full context, and the story refers to an event during the Fourth Corporate War, which happened over 50 years ago. Yet, people still own boats, we've seen that. Arasaka has at least one supercarrier, probably more, along with other sea vessels. Saburo and Hanako even arrived to Night City on the seas. Would they really put two of their most important members in danger if they weren't absolutely certain they could travel this way? Of course, Arasaka may have developed the ability to navigate around the AI by now. So, do we have any updated information regarding all of this? And that brings us to our second piece of evidence. Take a listen to this news broadcast from WNS that plays in 2077.
In the world of shipping, many ask, when will our oceans be open to us again? In the wake of the Red Decade, key shipping channels remain littered with undetonated explosives, and rogue autonomous submarines continue to attack freight vessels on the open seas. With shipping restricted to ground and air, transport costs have ballooned by more than 3,000%, which in turn has severely slowed the global economy. The governments of the world must step up to the task of opening our oceans for business once more. Call your representative today.
Wait. What the hell is going on here? Rogue autonomous submarines? Key shipping channels littered with undetonated explosives? This clip is more dubious and confusing than it even appears at face value. First of all, WNS is practically owned by Arasaka. They spew propaganda for the megacorp just as N54 News does for Militech. So this end bit where he says,
"The governments of the world must step up to the task of opening our oceans,"
is an unholy level of hypocrisy and dishonesty. Arasaka are the ones apparently responsible for the rogue AI. Now they're pushing a narrative that it's the rest of the world's job to clean up their mess. And to the other issue. The book told us the problem was an AI using self-replicating mines. The news broadcast says the AI is controlling submarines and the mines are merely leftover explosives that might accidentally go off if someone gets too close. So which is it? We're getting an awkwardly close but distinctly different set of stories. One from a small section of a potentially dated fiction novel written by an unknown writer without full context, and the other from an Arasaka mouthpiece. It turns out our pieces of evidence leave us with even more questions. Typical. So let's clear the cobwebs and lay out what we know. There are boats at the docks near downtown and more throughout the world, but we never see them in use. The Ebunike docks in Watson have a couple of large vessels, but the docks are closed and the ships are derelict. Arasaka built a massive waterfront, but no boats appear to come in and out of said waterfront. The Shard says transportation has shifted from boat to rail, and the city does have an extensive rail network. We looked at it in a previous assignment, but as we found there, it is also abandoned. We see Arasaka's Okami ship enter Night City. We know they use a supercarrier. We know at least they can traverse the waters, but based on their waterfront's lack of boats, perhaps this takes an extensive amount of coordination along with advanced vessels. Most transportation by 2077 seems to be done via the air with AVs. Our sources tell us there are rogue AI-controlled self-replicating mines or undetonated explosives, and rogue AI-controlled submarines making the waters unsafe. One claims Arasaka is to blame, the other does not place blame. Both agree the waters of the world are unsafe, but we can't get a clear and straight answer as to why and who is responsible. Neither of them tell us what these towers are for. Now let's start asking the real questions. Why would WNS News not point a finger? Why are they simply stating a threat exists, but not clearly pointing to who is responsible for that threat? We know who controls this puppet's lips. Of course Arasaka doesn't want them pointing fingers. It means fingers will get pointed right back at them. Why might Arasaka be so heavily invested in an off-planet database that houses the personality engrams of the elites? Why might Arasaka not portray the truth while reporting on the issue? AI-controlled submarines are scary, but not end-of-the-world scary. Undetonated mines don't have agency, but they're a precarious puzzle that might kill the person who dares to go looking. And what of Luke Steelman? Why release a book under the guise of fiction? Perhaps to protect himself as a whistleblower. Leak the nightmare boiling below the surface without putting a target directly on your back. We have no information on Mr. Steelman. For all we know, this was an alias, a fake name. Point the finger at the problem and the problem source, then sayonara. I do not have long. Please listen carefully. Something terrible is happening. Arasaka released an AI that controls nanotechnology into the oceans. The nanotechnology is not only the underwater mine, but the assembler of the mine itself. Think of it like this. The AI is the brain, the nanotechnology is the body. The true danger of this mine is not its ability to explode, but rather its ability to reproduce. The nanotechnology is capable of incredibly efficient assembly using any molecule at its disposal, allowing it to make a duplicate of itself rapidly. All it took was dropping one into the ocean, and before long, one mine became two. But two did not become three. Two became four. Four became eight. Eight became 16. Somewhere along the way, the AI decided that anything could be a threat. It was not made to defend any particular party, it was made to attack an enemy. It can only attack an enemy if it continues to exist. So now, its primary function is to protect itself and attack us. It's one thing for me to tell you that 1 million mines then became 2 million mines, and so on. But to truly display the threat we are faced with, I'll speak in a different scale. There was a mass of mines in the ocean approximately the size of the continent of Australia. I say was because by now there is likely a mass of mines 2 or 4 times larger. Before long, it will force oceans onto land, causing unspeakable flooding. But that's only the beginning. The fear was that shooting the mines would set off a chain reaction, but something had to be done immediately. This did not occur though. The AI in control is sending forward what appears to be enormous waves of mines, but in truth, the bulk of them are kept separately, deep within the ocean, duplicating endlessly. Every option we are left with ends the same way. Strikes aimed at the largest cluster have a chance to destroy the AI and its creations, but it would also assure Earth's destruction along with it. It is merely a matter of time before the mines replicate beyond Earth's ability to sustain their mass. The fear is not that the explosions will reach our doorstep, but that the sheer amount of mines will entirely consume our planet. This idea comes from a science fiction concept known as gray goo. This concept was introduced to the world by Kim Eric Drexler, considered to be one of the founding fathers of nanotechnology. The end result is that the nanotechnology, and in this case, the replicating minds, reproduce until there is nothing left on Earth but a mass of gray goo. My theory for you good people in Mr. House is this. Arasaka has created a problem they don't actually know how to stop. Luke Steelman's book alludes to the idea of the transfer of information. He released this text under an alias to protect himself from Arasaka and has let it spread to warn people of the danger. It travels because he uses Arasaka's name. It's written as fiction, but once the reader sees he's referencing a real-world event in the Fourth Corporate War and a real company like Arasaka, they start to get the message. In the news clip, Arasaka is operating under the idea of telling two truths and a lie. This helps distance themselves from the issue while also preventing others from crafting the narrative first. They admit on their news channel that there is an AI beneath the ocean along with mines. What they're leaving out is that the mines are connected to the AI and that they themselves are responsible. Militech is also involved with incredibly dangerous AI. There is a chance that any of these rogue agents could destroy humanity, but there is also a chance that they won't, at least within the near future. To keep company values high and the general public subdued, they distance themselves from the issues and have an unspoken agreement not to overexpose the threat. Meanwhile, they shovel money and resources into their contingency plans, such as Mikoshi, a data fortress in cyberspace with off-planet servers for them to escape to, so they are unreliant on Earth's existence because they know it's at threat. And finally, those towers. They aren't there to protect us. They're there to contain the inevitable just long enough for the people who matter to say sayonara.